Welcome to the Manager Matt Podcast Show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt Podcast Show, a weekly podcast designed to help you, as a manager and leader, unlock your potential, both inside and outside of work, with the ultimate aim of delivering the results you need. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode and share it with anyone else who'll get the benefit. Right, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. So, leadership, massive subject, being talked about, written about, video blogged about forever. You know, leadership, everyone talks about what is a good leader, where do leaders go, you know, what do leaders need to do? And I think sometimes it's a good question to take a step back from the normal day-to-day as a manager and leader. And I know people separate management and leadership, but that's probably another subject for another day. And say, do I lead by example? What can I do to be a better leader at work and away from work? Remember, leadership isn't just around what you're doing in the organisation you're working. It's about what you do in your society. So leadership isn't just around the formal title, it's also about what you do away from work, within your family, within your social side, social grouping, whatever that might be. What do you do to lead? And what do you do to lead by example? Because a lot of people I know who've had the titles of leaders have been very, very poor at what that is. They've actually not done anything around leadership. They've been really missing in that. So I thought today would be a good idea to just explore what we mean by leadership and how do you lead by example. First thing for me is a list of sort of where I see leadership and what I see that as a leader in my business and how I can be the best version of myself when it comes to leading. And I think one of the things you need to be is be authentic. I think in this day and age, authentic people do shine through. And it has become more difficult for people because the way that we are brought up now, the way that we're taught, the way that we are sort of said that you can and can't say certain things, it means that you're not completely authentic sometimes. Now, I'm not saying you should be completely honest about everything you do, because there is certain things, if you think of a pie chart, that'll be home and family and friends, they're going to be different to being with a work and a work relationships. But you've got to be authentic in what you stand for as a leader. What do you really stand for? What's the lines that you draw as a leader that allows your team to be successful? What are the non-negotiables, the ones that are absolute in your world? And that's being authentic for me in the business. Being an authentic self, being reliable around me is very important. My team hopefully appreciate the fact that I am authentic. When I come to work, I'm an authentic person. I'm not someone who's going to throw anyone under the bus. I'm going to be responsible and make sure that the decisions that I make and we make as a team are made together. So that's one side of it. And having humility, I think that follows on. Having humility in what you do. And that idea of having a humble person, not an ego. Very difficult when you're promoted sometimes not to carry an ego. Become egotistic almost and start to almost live within the means of that badge that you've got. But really, the humbleness of yourself, being humble and being having some humility allows you to be authentic. And that means that at some point you have to ask for help. So leaders, really good leaders, will ask help. They'll ask everyone for what they need from them by asking them to help and help out. And also help others. You know, my whole mantra as a leader is to clear the path for others to be successful. If my team is being successful and the people on the team are successful, then that means it's brilliant for me. It means that I'm growing them and giving them success. And a team that's got good growing people, want to go in the right direction, means that they deliver the great results. And of course, as a human, as a leader, you do this, not just in work. You want to make sure the people around you are growing. Your family, your friends. You're there to help them up. Make them successful. What can they see from the shoulders of giants, they say? That's really important. Make sure that you're helping the people around you become better at what they are. And that does sometimes means a quiet word in the corner. It sometimes means a small correction in what they're doing. It comes back to the idea I always talk about strong feedback and strong one-to-ones and talking as a team. Doing the things doesn't mean just as a leader, but as a human, those are good things to do. If you've got a family and you've got children who are growing up into young adults, how do you make sure that those young adults are doing the right thing, delivering the right sort of results for them, whatever that means to them? And that's a real important thing as a leader, to do that. What about problems? How do you see problems as a leader? Do you see them as the age-old, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world? Or do you actually see it as a problem is something we can solve as a group? That's what I do as a leader. I see problems all the time, but I want those problem solving. I want to work with my team to help those people deliver and make sure they can solve the problems. And solving the problems for them isn't always the answer, but giving them the tools to solve the problems is the massive thing that you can do as a leader. So look at that. Mate, as well, remember, it all boils down to the softer skills of leadership. You as a leader need to deliver results. And that's something we sometimes lose focus of. In a maybe non-competitive world, we always feel that it's not about results. But in business, it'll always be about results. You'll always have to deliver results. So you've got to look at your team and build the best team around you who can deliver those results. Day in, day out. Now they're going to fall, they're going to stumble. We all do. It comes back to that way of setting up the people to succeed. And that's around making sure that your team are focused on the results they need to be. You're looking out as a leader, up and out. What can they do to make this better? What are the results they need? What are the resources we can help them with to get to where they need to be? Another thing you need as a leader is strong relationships with the people around you. You need a strong relationship with your team. You need a strong relationship outside of work to support you. But you need that team relationship so they can trust you and you can trust them. Because you're not going to be there 24 hours, 7 a day as a week. You shouldn't be. If you are, there's something wrong. You've got a problem with your team if you're doing all that. But you've got to make sure that those guys have a strong relationship with you through your one-to-ones, through your feedback, through your coaching and empowering. It allows them to go and deliver what they need to do. And you need to be able to influence. So as a leader, you need to influence up and down the organisation. So how do you influence the people, not just in your peer group, not just in your directs, but above you, to make sure that they understand what you're doing as a person, how you are getting the results over the line with the team. How do you make sure that you've got good influence? And that's building stakeholder management. It's connecting with people, making sure that you're connecting with those ones. And again, outside of work, are you connecting with people in your social networks, in your local community? Are you making sure you're reaching out to people? Not in a silo, but reaching out. Not to ask for something all the time, but to genuinely want them to be successful. That's through connections and connectivity. And of course, as a leader, what do you contribute to the team? What value do you add? Because sometimes you may be a point where you think, what value am I adding? If things are going well, there may be times where you are quiet. But that's when you take the time to step up to the crow's nest and look out. Where are we going? What is the vision? Where's the mission? What we're trying to get to? Are we on track? Are we kidding ourselves that we are connecting everyone together and doing the results, or actually are we kidding ourselves? Have we become complacent? You need to serve that team as a leader. So you're serving the team and you're clearing the path for them to be successful. Because some days they're going to be in the mire, they're going to be really pushing their team and their directs. You're going to have to be there to make sure they're living the values and doing the right things. Not just the what's, not just delivering the results, but make sure the how's are right. How do we do this? And continually improving the people around you and yourself. You should never stop thinking that you're improving. You need to improve yourself just as much as you need to improve others around you. You need to sit back and look at what you need as skills for the future. Your team needs to be strong. You need to be contributing to that team, but what do you need? You should constantly be moving forward. So you're improving and continually improving yourself. You also, as a leader, needs to have a strong sense of are people telling you the truth? Or is there a bit of BS in your team? Are we spotting the BS? Are we got the BS sensor really tuned in? Because you need to spot when people are not where they should be. And again, making sure that you're using your humble and non-ego approach to make sure those people know that you've seen the BS and you're not going to accept it. And of course, one of the biggest things around any leadership is accepting responsibility. Responsibility is not just the title. It's not just the larger paycheck. It doesn't go without having full weight of leadership. Has a fact that you will have to accept full weight of responsibility and ownership. Never walk away from that. You own it. The people around you are delivering, you own it. When things go wrong, you're accountable. They might be responsible, but you're accountable. Always remember that. There's no way out of it. If you're going to become a leader and you're going to drive a business forward, you can't step back and say it's somebody else's problem. It's your problem. It'll always be your problem. You know, you've got that ultimate ownership in leadership. There's no near, I'll just have a day off. I'll just dodge this one, leave it for somebody else. No, it's yours. Ultimate ownership. And of course, with all that, it boils down to the last bit, which is honesty. Evaluating yourself honestly. How are you doing well? Are your teams doing well? Can you sometimes say, actually, what can we do better? Okay, what went well, but what can we do better? The team's good, but how can we become great? And those are the areas I think you can really make a difference in a leader. So let's just have a quick recap. It's about being authentic. It's having humility. It's being able to grow everyone around you. It's making sure that you're solving problems as a team, that you focus on results. You make sure you've got connections. You service your team by clearing their path. You spot the BS and you call the BS out. And you're honest to evaluate your own as well as your team's performance. I think that's how you can become a better leader. And it's not exhaustive. You know, there'll be people who say, well, what about this, Matt? And what about that, Matt? Of course, there's different areas and everything. Always is. Always going to be different points of view when it comes to it. But I think majority of that covers what you need to do to become a really, really good leader. And good leaders have good teams, and good teams get good results. And that's really what you want to be thinking of longer term as a leader. How do I get my results? How do I do what I need to do to get my team where they need to be? Well, thanks so much for listening to this show. And as ever, I'm really glad if you can give me your feedback, as it's a gift. Send it to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. And I'd also like to engage with you on new and old topics, because obviously it's great if you can come and let me know what you really want to hear me talking about. And of course, whatever you've done today, point to action. Please try to point to action what you've learned, as you don't get nothing from nothing. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.